Hi, she's Trixie and I'm Sarah, and this is Our Yarn World, a place where we come to share the love of crafting. I keep saying yarn crafts when I enter this video, but really it's just crafts in general, and everything it provides us. Today we are coming with yarn stuff, but it's not all we do. We are very excited that we're on episode 59.
Nope.
79.
79.
I just read it. Okay, 79. And we have a lot to share. We have progress, we have some things to share from a haul, and we do have my son again.
But hopefully he'll be quiet.
As like a silent co-star,
Yeah.
hopefully, where he just doesn't come into the video, but you might hear him jabber and still want his existence to be acknowledged throughout the whole entire thing. So I do hope that that does not interrupt enough to the flow of the video. Right. We're in a different season of our filming where me having someone to watch the kids is not as easy. So we might have my kids on and off every once in a while, or finding some stabilization.
One's in school and one's still home. So
yep. So we are figuring this out, and we hope that you still stick around for the ride, because we do still have a lot to share with you guys outside the distractions. Yep. And we want to keep going. We don't want to stop.
Right. So I finished the double-stranded granny stripe autumn blanket.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I was trying to get that word out, and then all of a sudden I was doubting myself. So I folded it wrong. There we go.
Okay. So starts from here.
And goes, and goes, and goes all the way to the Halloween colors. So, yeah. So it's just really, really fun. And I'm just showing you just one part of it where it's just the granny stripe, and it was really fun. I did 100, I think, chains across, and I used a 10mm hook, and it went really, really fast. And I was so happy about that. But I love changing the colors and getting the new colors in, and all that. So, in preparation for future blankets, I went thrift shopping this weekend with my husband. He was looking for a new butter dish, and I was looking for yarn. He found his butter dish, and I found yarn. So,
I haven't seen any of this stuff yet
either. So, I found...
That's insane.
Super Saver. Let's see. Red Heart Super Saver in the color Pale Plum for $1.99 a skein. I found one of these. It's a Red Heart Super Saver, but it's in buff, and it is a bigger. It's the Jumbo Super Saver Jumbo, and that was $2.99. Not a bad price, I feel, for that. And then I found the Frosty Green. I don't know. It's all these regular ones, not the jumbo, but all the regular ones were only $1.99.
This, oh wow, these are really nice.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is a Super Saver also.
Yep.
But it lost its label, $1.99 for orange.
Oh my God, so Super Saver again.
Yep. Real Teal.
Wow, these are almost full skeins.
I think they are. And this is cornmeal.
That's another Super Saver.
Yep. Super Saver.
These are such cool colors.
I know.
And was that all from one spot, or are these just from everywhere?
That was from one spot.
Okay, so
and this is from a different one.
From one spot, yeah.
Yeah.
It's from another one.
So I got white, and it's the old. I think it's Christmas knitting yarn. Christmas knitting yarn from Karen, and it was 99 cents.
So
this is white.
So this is a seasonal yarn.
Yep. And then I got the 2 reds.
Oh, so it must have come from the same person, likely, that donated.
Yeah.
So Christmas knitting yarn, also in Karen. It looks like it's an older label.
Yep.
Yeah, but they seem to be more or less
for 99 cents a piece.
Yeah.
And I like getting them like that, where it's just full skeins, and you get them for such a bargain, and you can do so much with them. And since I make blankets anyway, why not get the full skeins for our bargain price?
Yeah.
And I was so happy when I got home. I was just like, I am keeping those in the bag. I'm not going to put them on my shelf yet. Those are going in for the video for a haul. And my husband says, yeah, I think that's a good idea. That way people know that they can get bargains.
Yep.
So what are you up to?
So last week I showed you that I was finally pulling out some of my whips to get done. Like I said, I am on a very big get my whips done / get the holiday season projects done, because my mom is much more of like a stable, I know what I'm always gonna make, I know what I'm always gonna do, and if I do intentionally make it for somebody, that's fine, but you have a set time, a set schedule, and a set pattern almost any given time that you can pull from is not bad.
Right.
I like it. It's reliable.
Yeah.
Whereas I am much more of like, I'm all over the place and it leaves me not knowing what I'm going to do at any given time.
Right.
And like that can go from knitting to crocheting to the perler beads right now to anything. And I am trying to get my whips done regarding my November and my upcoming November and early December projects.
Yes.
That I have on my calendar to accomplish. Get them done, Sarah. Just get the whips out of the way. Don't keep saving them. Get them to these people. You
got the whiteboard schedule, and you're gonna keep it.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna get these things done. And it's not to say that it doesn't matter to me. It's much more of like a life gets consuming. I am much more of a mood creator, means that I want to do it when I'm in the mood to do it and not just force myself through a project. But when it involves other people, I want to still meet the commitment that I said I was going to do it. And last week I explained, my mother-in-law asked me for this blanket and commissioned me for this blanket. No price intended. She just got me the yarn that she wanted to do it, and then she just said, take your time. And I appreciate that, but it doesn't take away the fact that I want to be intentional about getting it to her by her birthday now. And that's in the middle of November. So it's like, okay, I'm going to just focus on getting that done. And so I've been trying to get it done. I am working on the 7th of 12.
Yeah.
So I'm past the halfway point now.
And that makes a difference.
It does really encourage me that I will be able to actually accomplish this. Well, this was the block I was working on last week when I showed it to you last week, and now it's completely done.
That's so cool.
And you have seen these over time, but this one I will say is a bit different because these are from Sarah Well Mandela Thick and Quick yarn.
Yes.
And the biggest thing about these is that this is the normal, I started from up here and went down, so this is the normal progression of the pattern of the yarn. Well, as you can see right here, almost goes inverted and goes back, and that's because I've been using remnants of these balls that I've been doing, and as long as I have a ball that ends at the same color, I just kind of add it on. And so now I'm having some of these blocks that kind of go inverted, where it's like it starts in the normal pattern and then it goes back into the opposite way instead of continuing on in the same way. And I feel like it's going to give dimension once all the pieces are together to have parts that are in the natural progression of the yarn variations, and when they all keep coming in, to blocks like this where it goes from almost a mirror effect where it starts off and then it bounces back.
Yeah.
And I hope that it does work out well. Now, as I mentioned last week, I'm trying to block these where it's like I'm kind of bordering these to try to make them all more or less into a much better square. The pattern might have a tip on this, but I just have been making the blocks right now and trying to figure out what I would like to do. I tried to use an old method that I knew, which was crossing different yarn techniques with different yarn patterns. So using a crocheted border on a knitted square, and I attempted that on one of the squares, and as you can see, like when I hold it up on the end that I have holded between my fingers, it looks like it's perfectly even, but as soon as I go over here, again, it looks perfectly even, and when I go again, it looks perfectly even, and I'm not taunting it, it just fits, and then again, but yet, it's curling. And so I do not know whether I'm going to take these already done borders off and attempt maybe doing like a blanket stitch on the ends to use. I like the yarn I've chosen for the border, and these blocks aren't necessarily perfectly square, and I don't want these blocks to stretch wrong. I want to pre-border them because I want to make sure that they stay as... I want this blanket to last, which means I have to put in the effort to make sure that the blocks are in the right shape and completely ready to be sewn together, and blocking them and bordering each block I feel is going to be the best method. And I don't know, I'm just feeling like I would pick your guys' brain on that. I am more than willing to do my own research, but I'm just kind of experimenting right now. And before I actually get all of them, oops, a water fell over. Luckily it was in a container. But I'm just kind of picking your guys' brain right here, just like with this thicker yarn that's heavier, with a knitted square afghan.
Yeah, way up.
What would you guys do to really make it square? Because like normally you're just doing lines back and forth, but these are mitered squares, which means I'm starting off with the length of two sides, and I'm taking it in from the inside and bringing it down to a 90-degree. And it's just, that means it can be a little bit more of a diamond shape by the end, that you have to kind of like really manipulate the square in the yarn to get it to lay correctly. And I'm just figuring I could pick your guys' brain with that. But I am moving on. I already have the 7th square started and being worked on right now on my knitting needles. It's in my container.
Yeah, pretty.
And so luckily that is on its way. But last week as well, I was showing you that I'm trying to get all my whips going, and like I said, this is the blanket is my November project. Try to get it done by November. And luckily those are very easy to do, just sitting down in the car if I'm waiting for somebody, or just in front of the TV. This next one that I need to be done by the beginning of December is a little bit more demanding, and that is the Godzilla project that I'm doing for my nephew. I started off last week, I know, just give me a second. You can hold it in just a minute. I was probably about right here, where I was like, right here. Had the head done. I didn't have much more done. I've gotten this much done since Sunday.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
So today is Tuesday that we're filming. So since Sunday, and I pulled this project out, I've gotten this much work done, and this is all in just single crochet?
Yeah.
Single crochet, yeah. That's what it's called. And you can see the spine where the decreases are. And it's kind of, and where all the increases are, more on the tummy. Yeah, so what this is it's one solid piece, the head and the neck and the body, and even just the grooves where this little like violin shape is actually intended for the sockets for where I'm going to be putting the arms.
Oh yeah.
So all this shape is intentional for, and I'm going to make the whole entire tail. This piece alone has 160 steps.
Wow.
In total to finish just this section of this Aragami Godzilla, and it's going to be about 2 feet, 2.5 foot, maybe 3 foot, depending on how it stands. It's gonna be huge, and it's really like, it's sturdy. Like, I understand that I'm using Karen yarn,
No.
which is, you know, this 1 pound Karen yarn.
I love the color of it.
And the color is Cape Cod, like I said last week. But yeah, it's acrylic yarn, you know, it is a sturdy yarn, but the single crochet method really makes it stiff.
Yes.
And with everything that I've been having to do with shaping and keeping the stuffing in there, it's not like it's dense, like it still has a give, but it's like sturdy feeling.
Yeah.
Because these are nice, tight, even stitches, and it's gonna last. And I'm so happy about that. And I told my brother, hey, I picked this back up, just like with Nicholas's project, that I had the link done from Legend of Zelda done for his birthday. I'm gonna have this done by Noah's birthday. And my brother was like, yes. So that's really cool. My next goal is to have, so by the next time we film, which, by the way, we are still contemplating whether we're able to film next week. That is still kind of up in the air. If we film again on Tuesday next week, we might be able to, but there might be a lull. But my current goal, just to meet Daniel, calm down. If we were to film next week, my current goal is to possibly have 2 more full blocks done, so 7 and 8 done, if not more, and have the tail completely done, the detail on the tail done,
right,
and possibly onto decorating the spine, and then I probably will do the limbs on its own.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Godzilla is getting done.
So
he is going to be huge.
So likely just the tail, and maybe just now working on the spikes that I will have to decorate the spine as. So those will probably be where I'm at next week if I really buckle down.
Right.
2 more blocks, and this is what I'm hoping for. But if I don't see you and it goes into 2 weeks, I likely will have more done. And that's really exciting to think that, like, over that amount of time, the next time you guys see us.
Right. In November.
It's so crazy to think that sometimes, like, in regards to this is kind of like, we always talk about these videos being like a diary journal entry for us, that we can go back and see what we've done. Yeah. But every single time I'm always thinking, what will be done by the time I'm filming next? That's so encouraging to me.
And it keeps us motivated.
Motivated and accountable. I feel very accountable because I have said it to other people that I want to be able to show you guys what I'm doing. We might not have the largest following, but for me, just the other people that are interested in what we're doing is enough to just make it fun. And like I said, even if no one followed, this is just, again, like a diary entry to me. Yeah, yeah. And it's just fun to do it, especially with you.
And, yeah, Daniel's really loving all the colors of the yarn. He's having a ball just playing with them. Yeah. So he's counting them, and he's seeing all the colors, and he's telling us about them. And he's hugging them.
Oh, that's right. I told you that you could look at this.
Wow, big
yeah. Oh boy, is he just chomping on the yarn now. So our scripture verse for this week is something a little different. I was reading through them yesterday, and I have been doing some definitions and of words that I have always heard in the Bible, but didn't always have the definition in my head. And it started for me with grace. Honey?
Big dinosaur.
Yeah, big dinosaur.
I'll have you start. I'm going to see if I can get him to sit down.
Okay. Grace was bothering. I didn't know the actual definition of it, and I wanted to start writing definitions down in a little book so I could always have it, and just so when I heard a sermon or I heard someone talking about things, that I would know what the definitions of some of these words were. Go see mommy. Go see mommy. And so the meaning of grace, I found, was the free and unmerited favor of God as manifested in the salvation of sinners and the bestowal of blessings. So that's just a definition of something that I wanted to know about. Well, the verse for this week is, have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another. And that's found in Mark 9:50 in the section B of 50. So my question was, okay, if we're supposed to have salt in yourselves, what is salt in ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and I'm just going to read you what I wrote down, because one or the other or all of it might make more sense if we read it all and then read over it. Yeah. So it's synonymous with the word covenant, which I did not know. A covenant of salt means it's perpetual and not to be broken, just as how salt preserves. A symbol of friendship and loyalty, a symbol of God's everlasting love for us, adds flavor, sustains life and signifies faithfulness, and it spreads kindness to others through words, thoughts, actions that embody God's goodness. Isn't that's amazing to me.
I think some of this is much more traditional, like a symbol of friendship and loyalty. I wonder if like salt was like one of those things that people brought to offer to somebody that it was like a covenant.
And back in the day of the Bible, salt was a very valued commodity.
Yeah.
They couldn't go out to the store to buy it.
So the symbolization of like, this is something I'm willing to give you, offers up like a
friendship, a loyalty.
I don't just give this to everybody.
No. So because they couldn't go out to the stores in those days to get salt, it was mined, it was brought in, the kings would have it because that was something that would be given as a tribute and whatever. So it was very valuable. Anybody that had salt sprinkled it on top of their food. They didn't cook with it per se. They sprinkled it on top. They wanted to taste it.
Yeah.
They wanted to make their foods taste better and preserve their foods longer.
Yeah, like salting their meats and making it so it's harder for them to decay.
Yes. So, having salt in ourselves,
it's a preservative. It brings flavor. It brings more meaning.
Yes, and it sustains life and signifies faithfulness in ourselves, and it spreads kindness to others through our words, our thoughts, and our actions, and it shows the embodiment of God's goodness. And I thought that was something that, we could share with you guys, so that maybe if you were thinking about Bible verses or whatever, you could just maybe start looking up some of the words that are in it, get some definitions written down for yourself, so that if you come across the words that maybe you've heard all your life. I've always heard covenant. What is covenant? It's a promise. I never in my mind knew the exact meaning. I just knew that it was something that God had with the Israelites, a covenant between the two. Or if you want to put it in context now, a marriage is a sign of covenant between the wife and the husband. So it's a promise that they will be loyal and faithful to each other, right? So have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another. Peace, I also have that written down just to, I think I do. Anyway, let me see. Oh, I thought I did. Yeah. Tranquility, no war. If you're in tranquil times, if you're calm, no chaos, no war, then you're in peace. Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another. It's all tranquility, calmness, friendship, and I'm just thinking this is something I'd like to do maybe a little bit more in our Bible time, is just to have the meanings of the words so that it means a little bit more to us. I might not do it every time. I mean, some of these words we're all going to know. Mm-hmm. But it's sometimes nice to have a little bit extra on the side just to find out what some of these words may mean to us and how we can apply them in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you want to say any more than that, or if...
No, it's very interesting that we apply it in our through our modern lens a lot of times, the Bible, and we do not see what the Bible or what passages and how deep passages are with simple translations like this, of being able to be like, okay, what does this mean in this context? Like, a lot of people might be like, why would they even bring up salt? Well, in that time period, it would make more sense. Like,
yeah.
Like the other day, I was reading in a book, and they were talking about how people that lived in like polar regions, so people that were native in polar regions were like really, really north, north of Alaska and Canada, like really, really cold regions where it's like natives of that area. Those people never knew what sweet tasted like because they never experienced it, because there was nothing sweet that grew there.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't have a growing
taste buds.
Yeah, that's
taste buds are acquired.
That's funny to think about. Yeah. Wow.
Because you can lose taste buds, and you can gain taste buds.
Yeah.
And you can acquire. And it's one of those things where it's like things like that where it's like you would never have thought about it until it was said.
Yeah.
It kind of is like one of those epiphanies in this regard, because in that book it was talking about how when you're disgusted you can taste it.
Right. We were talking about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And that was an equivalent of like not everyone has the same taste buds, meaning they genuinely might have never experienced this emotion before.
Right.
Therefore, they might not genuinely know how to empathize with you. And it was explaining it in different terms of like, just like people that live in regions that never have experienced sweet or never, like, they would not know what you were talking about if you were craving it around them. They would not know what is sweet. They would not have the same definition for that thing.
Yeah.
What's sweet to them is what is the most richest thing that they have. That would not be as rich as what we have.
Right. They wouldn't even have honeybees because it would be too cold for them.
I think about like Laura Ingalls and when we were reading the books and how an orange was so coveted because it was an oriental fruit.
Yeah.
And those would have to be shipped in, and to be able to even get your hands on one was like a sweet exotic treat, because for them oranges at the time were a much more of like a, now obviously it's not that at the time those sort of fruits didn't become tropical in like like in Florida and in California, but we're also talking time periods here. They did not travel all the way there.
Yeah, in Minnesota,
they were didn't have it. And she wanted to continue traveling, but her mom didn't, and her dad did, but the rest of the family didn't. And it's just one of those things that, like I said, you don't think about it, but yeah, something that we would always have always had available to us would not seem special, but within the context of the time period, people have always been the same level of intelligence. It's that we have grown to have more alike and at the same resource. Yeah. And now we're in a place, especially in America specifically, where to have a certain standard of living is much more understood, especially with resources like food and everything else, whereas other places still would never even have the luxury of thinking about having 2-3 cars, a family, and like, so we really have to think about the lens in which we're reading the Bible to be able to get context. And I like that you're doing this because it's a very interesting study on time periods. Yeah. Because, like, we can't just dumb down the Bible by believing that they're dumb, and so they were just making really random metaphors. For them, this was a way of saying, this is really cool. Yeah. This was a time stamp for them to acknowledge something very important. Right. Kind of like when we say things that are, like, very modern in our time, and what we would say that would seem very insignificant to them. Right. It says something about the time period in which we live. And so if we can think about it in that way, what was their native time period? What was that sound like? What would this be translated as? What is important to them? Why would they say that this is important? What was used as a covenant? Okay, well, if this was a representation of a covenant, then that would now translate to this meaning more. Yeah. And I just like it. It's really fun. Yeah. It makes the Bible more alive. Yeah. So
now that the verse will be down in the description area, I can even put the description of salt in there for us. Ooh. And and we're gonna end on that note, since our little boy wants to play with Legos now.
Yes, so he wanted us to show you that he made an airplane, and he's very proud of it. Yes. Okay, you've been a part of it. Such a big boy. So, thank you again for, if you've made it this far, for your patience with our little man. Obviously, I'm not about to apologize. I have kids that's going to be a part of this channel every once in a while, but I do appreciate it. We are working on figuring out what our normal is going to be in this season with filming, with having children around, and how we can better make ourselves more available to just the conversations with you guys during our time that we have with you guys. But as always, we are very excited. I'm sure my mom is going to be having a field day figuring out how to use these yarns. Oh yeah. I know that she's really thinking about working on some of her mosaics soon. Yep. And I'm really hoping to have at least the body with some of the decorations done, and at least 2 to 3 more blocks for you guys this next time. Hopefully next week. And again, if we do not post a video next week, it has more to do with just life happening, because we are very busy next week. But if not next week, we'll be sure to know that we'll tune in the following week, starting in November, with where we're at with our projects. But as always, we love you. We're grateful for anyone who's tuned in with us and fellowshipped with us. And as always, we hope that you stitch your way
to mental health.